So then we saw that for women, two main sets of hormones are stress hormones and sex hormones. Stress hormones being predominantly lungana, predominantly yang, sex hormones being predominantly yin, predominantly brahmana, and looked at estrogen, progesterone, cortisol, DHEA, oxytocin, and what each of those does. Now let's look at how these change over the course of a woman's life and how they interact and affect each other, okay? So, I'm going to go to the board here. And this, what we're going to look at now, is a very technical term, the bucket syndrome. So as you all well know, we're born with two buckets. What do you like better, the picture of the buckets or the bone from yesterday? All right, so we're born with two buckets. We're born with a bucket of sex hormones, and we're born with a bucket of stress hormones. And we're born with just the right amount. And notice that just the right amount is exactly balanced, right? Hot, cold, 98.6. This is brahmana, this is lungana, and they have to find a really clear balance in order for lungana influences in our organisms not to take precedence over brahmana influences, not to take dominance over lungana. If we have too much brahmana, what are we going to see? Excess weight gain, masses, heavy bleeding, a sense of lethargy, depression, heavy kind of overly grounded kind of things. If we've got too much motivation, too much stimulation, what are we going to see? We're going to see anxiety, burnout, insomnia, panic attacks, hormonal changes, right? Like lightening of the period or irregular period because of the excess chala guna, the excess mobile quality of lungana. So there's all kinds of things we can start to see if there's too much lungana compared to brahmana, right? Too much yang compared to yin. All right, so then what happens is that around 35, progesterone starts to decrease, possibly estrogen too, depending on the source you read, but it doesn't matter. They're, both of them together are sex hormones, and they're brahmana. They start to decrease around 35, and around 50, there's a tremendous drop in both estrogen and progesterone. They drop tremendously. So what happens at 35 if the stress levels don't drop? Then we've got this, instead, what we want to see is equality, right? We want to see it about the same. But at around 35, things start to drop. This is the problem area in here. Well, this is where we mostly start seeing women coming in, like if you're an alternative care practitioner, it's after 35 that women start coming and paying attention and think, oh, maybe I'm not completely invincible. Maybe I can't do this forever without consequences. I'm seeing consequences. What do we do about it? So that starts happening, and around 50, if the stress levels don't go down, then we've doubled this. And double, I'm making up double. That's a made-up statistic. That's nothing about double, but it's more than double. Estrogen and progesterone levels drop tremendously, and I forget how much, but tremendously. So there's this tremendous inequality, and therein we start getting these more and more signs and symptoms, more panic, more insomnia, and then we start taking things to help that, and then there's side effects for that, and we start dealing with the side effects. Not saying that there's never a time for sleeping pills, never a time for antidepressants, never a time for anti-anxiety meds. This is where we're going to be running for them. But insofar as possible, using that as a stopgap measure in addressing these other things that we've been looking at all weekend. Just because, again, I'm going to go back to, if we're trying to treat anxiety, if we're trying to treat digestive disorders, if we're trying to treat reproductive disorders with continually robbing those organs that are responsible for that stuff of vital resources and shunting those to the extremities, long term, that's going to injure those organs and systems, and we're going to need quite a bit of time on the couch to turn that around.